Have you ever had that feeling? You know the one. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, checking off all the boxes, but deep down, something just feels off. Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into in this explainer, what that feeling is and what it really means to find your own true direction. So let's just start with a really big, maybe even a slightly uncomfortable question. What if the life you're chasing isn't actually yours? It's a pretty wild thought, right? But that single question, that's really at the heart of everything we're going to unpack together. To even try and answer that, we have to go back, way back. We need to take a hard look at the blueprint for success that was handed to us, a lot of times before we even knew what was happening. I mean, think about it. When we're little kids, we're just flooded with messages about what a good life is supposed to look like. It comes from our family, from school, from movies, from everywhere. We're given this pre-packaged idea of success, and we just kind of absorb it without ever questioning it. And a huge piece of that puzzle is the right career. You know the drill. Become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. Pick one of the stable, respectable jobs that guarantees security and, let's be honest, gets a nod of approval from everyone else. And then you've got the milestones. It's like this invisible checklist we're all supposed to follow, right? You graduate, you get the job, you get married, you buy a house, you have kids. And you're supposed to hit every single one of these marks at just the right time, like life is some kind of race. So what this all boils down to is this incredibly powerful idea that there's one and only one correct path to a happy, successful life. And the really scary part? If you wander off that path, even a little bit, it feels like a total personal failure. Okay, but here's the catch. What if the map we've been following so carefully was drawn by somebody else? What happens when you realize the compass you've been using to navigate your entire life was just handed down to you, not something you chose for yourself? And that right there is the key. Most of us don't consciously choose these big life goals. We just inherit them from our culture, our community, our family. They basically become our default settings, just running in the background of our lives. And this creates this huge internal clash, because on the outside, everything looks perfect. You're ticking the boxes. You've got the job, the house. You're doing everything right. But on the inside, there's just this hollowness, a nagging feeling that even with all the accomplishments, something really, really important is just missing. We usually call that empty feeling being lost. But what if that's not it at all? What if we've been thinking about that word, lost, completely wrong? Maybe it's time for a little redefinition. Okay, I want you to just let this one sink in for a second. Sometimes people don't feel lost because they lack direction. They feel lost because they're following directions that were never meant for them. That is such a game changer. The problem isn't that you don't have a map. It's that you've been using someone else's map this whole time. So if you realize you're using the wrong map, what do? Well, the first step isn't to just panic and start running in a new direction. It's actually to stop, to finally hit pause on that autopilot and start questioning the rules you've been following your whole life. And it's right there, in the middle of all that questioning, that the real work, and honestly, the most exciting part, begins. This is the moment where we get to stop just following a pre-written script and actually start building a life that is truly our own. Now, this isn't just some philosophical question. It's a genuine tool you can use. So I want you to seriously ask yourself, if nobody could judge your choices, no one at all, what kind of life would you build? If the only person you had to impress was you, what would you do differently? The answer to that question, well, that's your real compass. And at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. Our whole world seems to celebrate speed, moving faster, getting more done. But maybe the most important thing we can do isn't to move faster, but to just pause long enough to make sure we're actually moving in the right direction for us. It's worth asking yourself, are you truly climbing, or are you just staying busy?